Shia LaBeouf is being sued by one of his ex-girlfriends, singer FKA Twigs, with allegations that he was physically and verbally abusive and at times had her fearing for her life. The singer, whose legal name is Tahliah Barnett, filed the suit over the weekend, with the first words of the lawsuit reading, I quote, "Shia LaBeouf hurts women. He uses them, he abuses them, both physically and mentally. He is dangerous." And now it seems there are a handful of others coming forward with their own accounts of negative experiences, including Sia, who worked with Shia on one of her music videos and warned others to stay away. It seems we've got a lot to cover for you guys today on InformOverload, so kick back, relax, and smash that like button, as it would really help us out. And just a quick trigger warning that we are discussing domestic abuse in today's video. For now, let's get into things. On Friday, December 11th, Barnett filed a lawsuit in Los Angeles Superior Court, citing a handful of incidents where Shia was physically, verbally, and emotionally abusive towards her. The suit claims at one point in the relationship, Barnett was woken up by LaBeouf, who was standing over her, squeezing her arms, and at one point even choking her. As per the lawsuit, as he was strangling her, he whispered, I quote, "If you don't stop, you are going to lose me." After the alleged attack, the lawsuit reports that while driving, Shia became manic, and as Barnett tried to get out of the car, he threatened to crash unless she professed, I quote, her eternal love for him. When they stopped to get gas, she tried to escape, but he allegedly started to get violent with her, screaming in her face, throwing her against the car, and forcing her back in, shortly after attempting to strangle her again. Reports claim this happened during a trip to celebrate Valentine's Day in 2019, and following the incident, Barnett texted a friend, I quote, "This is difficult to say, but I am sure you know. I have been in an abusive relationship that has isolated me. It's worse than you could imagine." The lawsuit also claims while filming The Tax Collector, LaBeouf tried to get so into character, which was that of a gangster, that he claimed to drive around Los Angeles, shooting stray dogs dead so he could get into the mindset of a killer. Barnett claimed upon hearing this, she was, I quote, profoundly disturbed and terrified. Aside from this, it also claims that LaBeouf demanded that Barnett slept nude with him and slept with a loaded rifle at their bedside due to LaBeouf being paranoid that gang members were going to break into his home. At the same time, he insisted on leaving the front door unlocked, which again led to Barnett fearing for her life. She was afraid if she tried to leave or even stood up, he could potentially shoot her. On top of all this, LaBeouf is also being accused of consistently trying to belittle Barnett, as well as going into fits of rage and jealousy over her ex-partners, such as Robert Pattinson. There is also the claim that LaBeouf infected Barnett with an STD, although he kept that from her at the time. The New York Times, who initially broke the story, reached out to LaBeouf, who said in an email, I quote, "I have no excuses for my alcoholism or aggression, only rationalizations. I have been abusive to myself and everyone around me for years. I have a history of hurting the people closest to me. I'm ashamed of that history and am sorry to those I hurt." That being said, in another email, he said many of the allegations weren't true, but also said he owed those speaking out, I quote, "the opportunity to air their statements publicly and accept accountability for those things I have done." Barnett's attorney, Brian Friedman, told People magazine, I quote, "We tried to resolve this matter privately on the condition that Mr. LaBeouf agreed to receive meaningful and consistent psychological treatment. Since he was unwilling to agree to get appropriate help, Ms. Barnett filed this suit to prevent others from unknowingly suffering similar abuse by him." Taking to her Instagram, Barnett posted a photo of the article and shared a caption explaining it was hard for her to come to terms that she was subjected to both physical and emotional abuse by a partner even after the fact. But she decided to talk about it to encourage others in a similar position to come forward and understand they're not alone. She's also said a large sum of the proceeds of the lawsuit, if she does receive any monetary value, are going to be going towards charities that helped victims of domestic abuse. The two met after working on the film Honey Boy, which was co-written by LaBeouf as it was about his childhood. Taking to Twitter, Sia, who had Shia's star in her 2015 music video for the song Elastic Heart alongside Maddie Ziegler, took to Twitter to share the article. She captioned her tweet, I quote, "I too have been hurt emotionally by Shia, a pathological liar who conned me into an adulterous relationship claiming to be single. I believe he's very sick and have compassion for him and his victims. Just know if you love yourself, stay safe, stay away." In a separate tweet with another link attached, Sia wrote, I quote, "Also, I love you at FKA Twigs. This is very courageous and I'm very proud of you." Barnett replied on Twitter, I quote, "I'm sorry at Sia, this reinforces why I had to publicly share my experience. We need to support each other." And I quote, "Love you back at Sia, you're an inspiration, and thank you everyone for your love and solidarity." The lawsuit claimed, I quote, "This action has been brought not for personal gain, but to set the record straight, and to help ensure that no more women undergo the abuse that Shia LaBeouf has inflicted on his previous romantic partners." It also highlights the fact that although LaBeouf has had his fair share of run-ins with the law, due to his celebrity status and artistic nature, the incidences are usually brushed off or not given much weight. I quote, "For too long, LaBeouf has sought to excuse his reprehensible actions as the eccentricities of a free-thinking artist. Even though his history of violent behavior is well documented, many in the media have treated LaBeouf as a harmless figure of fun, which has helped enable him to perpetuate his cycle of abuse of women over the years. There is nothing funny about the exploitation of and battering of women." As we've seen over the years, Shia has had his fair share of incidents, which include a misdemeanor and petty theft charge dating back to June 2020, as well as the 2014 disorderly conduct and public drunkenness arrest from 2014 at Studio 54 in New York, and the 2017 arrest in Georgia for public intoxication and disorderly conduct, which he blamed on alcoholism. He was sentenced to a year of probation and to seek therapy for his substance abuse and anger management, but it seems that didn't help him all that much. Barnett and LaBeouf dated for a year from 2018 until 2019, and she claims to not want to be labeled as a victim, but, I quote, has triumphed over LaBeouf's abuse and stands ready to hold him accountable for his actions. Women everywhere are now on notice that LaBeouf is not the tortured artist he portrays himself as. He is a destructive and dangerous man. Carolyn Foe, a stylist who dated LaBeouf in 2010 and 2011, also cited similar treatment from the actor, and although she wasn't listed on the lawsuit, she decided to speak out and ally with Barnett to protect other women from LaBeouf. Now, as always guys, should any other information regarding this lawsuit or situation come to light, we'll be sure to keep you up to date. My heart goes out to everyone who has been affected by LaBeouf's actions, and hopefully this will force him to get the help he clearly needs, as well as stop him from harming others. Let us know your thoughts on this one and the entire situation in the comments down below. For now, let's do some comment replies from the video. The real story behind the monoliths is scarier than you think. Demi said they could speak for themselves. I'm ready. Release the aliens. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to see aliens. I'm pretty on board with that. I Love Pink and Gold said, preaches about Christ, then acts like Satan. Yeah, yeah, when I was telling the story, I didn't want to make it seem like, you know, I was generalizing it all, so that's why I kind of said like far right, because I understand that not all Christians are anything like that, and I saw a comment being like, stop giving Christians a bad name. If you took it that way, I apologize. I was just doing what the article said as a journalist. Ernan Almanza said, we still can't accept different cultures. What makes the aliens think we could accept them? Couldn't have said it better myself, my friend. It's the sad reality of the world. Anyways guys, I've been your host, Jared Bronstein. We'll see you soon.